The twin suns cast long shadows across the crystal towers of the Al3 capital world. Admiral Vextar stood in his command chamber, reading reports that made his blood run cold. The savage Kethmori armies were moving closer to the Empire's borders each day. Their ships were crude but deadly. Their warriors fought with a fury that the Al3 had not seen in centuries. Vextar's scaled hands gripped the data tablet tighter. His people had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, but they had grown weak during the long peace. Their soldiers were skilled, but lacked the killer instinct needed to face the Kethmori hordes. General Mordok entered the chamber, his heavy footsteps echoing on the polished floor. His face showed the same worry that plagued all the military leaders these days. The situation grows worse, Admiral. Our forces retreated from 3 more systems yesterday. The Kethmori are like wild animals. They fight without fear. Vextar nodded grimly. Our warriors are too civilized, they think. Too much before they act. In war, sometimes you need beasts, not thinkers. Dr. Yelanara stepped out from behind the viewing screen where she had been studying star charts. The chief scientist of the Empire had an idea that might save them all. There is another way, Admiral. We don't have to use our own people as soldiers. Both military leaders turned to look at her. Yelanara was known for her wild ideas, but she was also brilliant, explained Vextar commanded. We found a small world orbiting a yellow star in the outer spiral arm. The third planet has primitive life forms that show great promise. They are mammals, like us, but much more aggressive. They fight constantly among themselves and adapt quickly to new threats. Mordok frowned. You want us to use primitives as soldiers? They probably still use stone tools. Yelanara smiled. That's exactly the point. They are raw material, can shape them, guide their evolution, make them into the perfect warriors. It will take time, but we have time. The Kethmori are still years away from our core worlds. Far. Across the galaxy, on a small blue planet, Huan-Wu crouched in the tall grass. His muscles were tense as he watched the massive mammoth drinking from the river. His tribe had not eaten meat in 3 days. This hunt would mean the difference. Between life and death for his people, the mammoth was huge and dangerous. Its tusks could crush a man with one swing. But Huan-Wu had tracked it for 2 days, learning its habits, waiting for the right moment. He gripped his obsidian spear tighter and prepared to strike. High above in the sky, invisible to human eyes, Al3 sensors recorded everything. It measured Huan-Wu's heart rate, his muscle tension, his decision-making process. The data streamed back to their hidden base on the dark side of Earth's moon. The mammoth lifted its head, sensing danger. Huan-Wu knew he had only seconds. He rose from the grass and hurled his spear with all his strength. The point found its mark between the great beast's ribs. The mammoth roared and charged, but Huan-Wu was already moving, rolling aside as the wounded animal crashed past him. Dr. Yelanara watched the recorded hunt with fascination. Look at that reaction time. See how quickly he adapted when the situation changed. These creatures have potential beyond anything we've seen. Over the following millennia, the Al3 worked in secret. They planted plagues that killed the weak and left the strong to breed. They caused ice ages that forced humans to become better hunters and toolmakers. They watched as humans discovered fire, farming, and metalworking. Sometimes they intervened more directly, subtle genetic modification. Here, a new environmental pressure there. They were careful never to show themselves, always working from the shadows. The humans responded exactly as predicted. They became stronger, smarter, more aggressive. They developed weapons of incredible power and strategies of amazing complexity. They fought wars that covered entire continents and built empires that lasted for centuries. In modern times, Dr. Yelanara observed a military exercise in Korea. General Minho commanded thousands of soldiers in a complex battle simulation. His forces moved like pieces on a chessboard, each unit perfectly coordinated with the others. The precision was beautiful to watch. Remarkable, Yelanara said to her assistant. They've developed strategic thinking that rivals our own military academics. And look at their weapons technology. Some of their innovations are actually superior to our older models. The assistant checked his instruments. The genetic modifications have exceeded all projections. Dr. Draw. These humans are developing faster than we planned. Eleonora nodded with satisfaction. The project had taken thousands of years, but it was finally ready. The humans had been forged in the fires of constant warfare. They were the perfect warriors the Althari Empire needed. She opened a communication. Channeled to Admiral Vexstar on the home world. Admiral, I recommend we begin the harvest. Specimens are ready. Vexstar's reply came back immediately. Excellent work, Doctor. Prepare the fleet. It's time to collect our new army. Neither of them suspected that their perfect warriors might have other ideas about serving their creators. The morning sky over Seoul was clear and blue when the shadows fell. People on the streets stopped and looked up as massive shapes blocked out the sun. The alien ships were bigger than anything humans had ever built. They hung in the air like floating mountains, silent and threatening. Captain Jae-sung was drinking coffee in his office when the alarm started screaming. He ran to the rooftop of the Ministry of Defense building and stared up at the enormous vessel hovering directly overhead. The ship was dark, metal, and crystal, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Sujin, he shouted to his aide, get every military commander on the line right now and contact the president immediately. Sujin's hands shook as she worked the communication equipment. Similar scenes were happening all around the world. Tokyo, New York, London, Moscow, every major city had alien ships hanging over them like storm clouds. Then the broadcast began. Every television, every radio, every phone on Earth received the same message at exactly the same moment. The voice was deep and strange, but the words were perfectly clear in every human language. People of Earth, the alien voice said, we are the Althari. We are your creators, your makers, your gods. You exist because we designed you. You are strong because we made you strong. You are warriors because we needed warriors. In his underground bunker beneath Seoul, President Han Sol watched the message with growing anger. The alien who spoke called himself Admiral Vexstar. His face appeared on screens worldwide, scaled skin, golden eyes, and an arrogant expression. That made Han Sol's blood boil. We were bred for one purpose, Vexstar continued, to fight our enemies, to die for our empire. Your time of peaceful existence is over. Prepare your best soldiers. We will take them to serve in our wars among the stars. The message ended with demands. The aliens wanted Earth's military forces, its weapons, technology, and complete surrender. They gave humanity 1 day to comply. Han-Sol stood up in the emergency UN meeting that was happening by video link. Leaders from every nation watched him with desperate eyes. Oh, I've heard their terms, he said clearly. They think they own us. They think we're their property. My answer is simple. Never. Erupted in agreement. The President of the United States nodded firmly. Korea speaks for all of us. We didn't fight for thousands of years to become free, just to surrender to new masters. But words were one thing. Action was another. The aliens were clearly more advanced. Their ships floated in the sky like they weighed nothing. Human jets and missiles might be useless against such technology. Colonel So-young thought differently. She commanded the air defense base near Busan, and she had been preparing for this moment since the ships first appeared. If the aliens wanted a fight, she would give them one. Modify the surface-to-air missiles, she ordered her technicians. Double the explosive charges. If these aliens have shields, let's see how strong they really are. The first test came when an Althari transport ship descended toward the military base. It was smaller than the massive vessels over the cities, but still huge by human standards. The ship moved slowly, as if its crew expected no resistance. So-young watched through binoculars as the alien craft approached. Wait until it's in range, she told her missile crews. Let them think we're helpless. The transport was only a few hundred meters above the base when So-young gave the order. Fire everything. 20 missiles streaked up toward the alien ship. For a moment, nothing happened. The missiles hit some kind of invisible barrier around the ship and exploded harmlessly. But then something changed. The barrier flickered and sparked. The ship wobbled in the air. Again, So-young shouted. Hit them again. The second wave of missiles broke through. 3 explosions rocked the alien ship. Strange purple fluid leaked. From holes in its hull, ship's smooth flight became unstable. It tried to climb back into the sky, but more missiles followed it up. Saw Young grabbed her radio. "Command, this is Boosin Base. The alien ship is damaged and retreating. I repeat, we hurt them." The news spread quickly through the military networks. The aliens could be hurt. Our ships weren't invincible. Their shields had limits. Captain Jae-sung received the report with fierce joy. He immediately called all regional commanders. "You heard Busan. These aliens bleed like any other enemy. Start preparing defenses. Modify our weapons. Find their weaknesses." Around the world, human military forces began mobilizing. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by the fighting spirit that had carried humanity through countless wars. These aliens might be advanced. They had made one crucial mistake. They had challenged the human race to a fight. Admiral Lepstar received the damage report aboard his flagship with disbelief. "Impossible. Their primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields." "Sir," his tactical officer reported nervously, "they concentrated their fire on one point. The shields overloaded. It appears they adapted their strategy within minutes." Vexstar stared at the tactical display showing the damaged transport limping back to orbit. These humans were supposed to be grateful for contact with their creators. Instead, they had immediately attacked. Perhaps Dr. Yelenara's project had worked too well. The perfect warriors they had created might be too perfect to control. The second wave of Althari ships arrived 3 weeks after the first attack. These were not transport vessels, but true warships, bristling with weapons that could crack mountains. Admiral Vexstar was done being gentle with his rebellious creations. The bombardment began at dawn. Beams of pure energy lanced down from orbit, turning entire city blocks into glass. Seoul's downtown district vanished in a flash of light. Tokyo Center became a smoking crater. The aliens were showing humanity what real power looked like, but the humans had learned their first lesson well. When the orbital strikes came, most of the population was already underground. The subway tunnels of major cities had become vast shelter networks. Natural caves were turned into command bunkers. What the aliens destroyed on the surface was mostly empty buildings. Commander Sung-ho stood in his new headquarters deep beneath Mount Jiri, studying maps of the global resistance. The mountain's natural caves had been expanded into a complex that could house thousands of people. Power came from underground rivers. Air came through hidden vents. The aliens could burn the surface, but they could not reach the humans below. "Report," he ordered as his senior staff gathered around the war table. "Beijing underground reports 40,000 civilians safe," said Colonel Minsu. "Moscow's metro system is housing over 100,000. Become a complete underground city." Sung-ho nodded grimly. "The aliens think they can break us with bombardment. Don't understand that we've been preparing for underground warfare since the first nuclear weapons." "What about our scientists?" Dr. Na-young stepped forward. She looked tired, but excited. Her underground laboratory had been working around the clock since the war began. "We've made progress, Commander. The alien plasma weapons use quantum energy matrices. If we can disrupt the quantum field..." General Kyungmin frowned. "Speak plainly, Doctor. What can we do?" "We can turn their own weapons against them," Na-young said simply. "But we need intact alien technology to work with. The pieces we've recovered from the damaged ships aren't enough." That was when Sergeant Wujin's mission became crucial. His Special Forces unit had been tracking alien patrol patterns for weeks. They had identified a weakness. The aliens sent out small reconnaissance flights to assess damage from there. Bombardments. Wu Jin lay in the ruins of a destroyed factory, watching the alien fighters circle overhead. His team was hidden in the rubble around him, armed with the modified weapons that had proven effective against alien shields. He had one chance to bring down the craft intact. "Wait for my signal," he whispered into his radio. "We need the ship in one piece." The alien fighter descended to examine the factory ruins more closely. Its pilot was confident, probably thinking all the humans in the area were dead. That confidence was about to be costly now. Wu Jin shouted. Electromagnetic pulse grenades detonated around the fighter. The alien ship's systems went haywire. It crashed into the factory courtyard, its hull cracked but not destroyed. Before the alien pilot could recover, Wu Jin's team had surrounded the craft. The battle was brief but fierce. The alien fought with desperate courage, but human determination won. Within an hour, intact fighter was being transported to Dr. Na-Young's laboratory through hidden underground tunnels. Na-Young's team worked for days without rest. They took apart every component of the alien ship, studying each piece with instruments that pushed human technology to its limits. What they found amazed them. Their technology is advanced, but not magical. Na-Young explained to a gathering of military leaders. They use quantum principles we're only beginning to understand, but the basic physics are the same. And look at this. She showed them a modified plasma cannon that her team had built. We've improved their design. Our version uses 30% less power and has twice the range. These aliens may have created us, but they stopped evolving. While we kept growing, the news spread through the resistance networks like wildfire. Human engineers began building weapons based on the captured alien technology. But they didn't just copy the designs, they made them better. General Mordok received the intelligence reports with growing horror. Human forces were now using modified alien weapons against Althari patrols. Worse, the human versions were often superior to the originals? How is this possible? He demanded of his science staff. We've had this technology for millennia. Sir, his chief scientist replied nervously, the humans are thinking in ways we never considered. They're combining our quantum principles with their own crude but effective engineering. Some of their solutions are ... elegant. Meanwhile, Agent Jinwoo led resistance cells and hit-and-run attacks against alien supply depots. His team knew every mountain path, every hidden valley, every cave system in their region. The aliens might control the skies, but they were blind on the ground. Ginwoo's latest target was an alien communication array built on a mountaintop. The facility was defended by energy shields and automated weapons, but it had one weakness. It needed a clear line of sight to orbit. We go up the north face, Jinwoo told his team. It's the steepest route, but they won't expect it. Plant the charges on the main transmitter and get out. The attack succeeded perfectly. The alien communication array exploded in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Similar attacks were happening worldwide as human. Resistance fighters learned to strike fast and disappear. But the worst news for Admiral Vexstar came from the Galactic Rim. The Kethmori hordes had detected the weakness in Althari defenses. While the Empire's best fleets were tied up fighting humans, their ancient enemies launched massive attacks on outlying territories. Vexstar stared at the tactical display, showing red enemy markers advancing on 3 fronts. The human project was supposed to provide soldiers to fight the Kethmori. Instead, it had created a new enemy that was draining resources the Empire desperately needed. Sir, his aide reported, we're receiving urgent requests for reinforcements from 7 different sectors. The Kethmori are advancing faster than anticipated. Vexstar's scaled fist crashed down on the command table. His perfect warriors had become his perfect nightmare. The humans were not just resisting, they were winning. The modified Althari fighter ship climbed through Earth's atmosphere like a silver arrow. Captain Hyojin felt the familiar weight of acceleration pressing him into his seat, but this time was different. This time, he was flying an alien ship that human engineers had made better than the original. All systems green, reported his co-pilot, Lieutenant Dahill. The new engines are running at 120% of original specifications. Hyojin smiled grimly. The human modifications had taken 3 months to complete. Dr. Na-Young's team had not just repaired the captured ship, they had rebuilt it from the ground up. The weapons were more powerful, the shields were stronger, and the engines were faster than anything the Althari had ever built. There Dalho pointed at the tactical display, the orbital command station, just like the intelligence report said. The Althari command station hung in space like a crystal flower, beautiful and deadly. Controlled all alien forces in Earth's solar system. For months it had been untouchable, protected by a fleet of warships and energy shields that could stop any missile. But it had never faced a human crew flying an alien ship. "They don't recognize us yet," Hyojin observed. "Their sensors see an Althri fighter. They think we're one of them." The plan was simple but dangerous. Get close enough to the command station to use the ship's weapons, then strike before the aliens could react. It was the kind of desperate gamble that humans specialized in. Alarms suddenly screamed in the alien command station. "Sir," an Althari technician reported to the station commander, "that fighter is not responding to our signals. Its quantum signatures ... wrong." Too late. Hyojin's ship was already in attack position. "All weapons, fire," he shouted. The modified plasma cannons unleashed their fury. Beams of energy that burned hotter than the sun struck the command station's shields. The barriers held for a moment, then collapsed under the overwhelming assault. "Impossible," the station commander gasped. "No single fighter has that much firepower." But the humans had done the impossible. They had taken alien technology and made it work better than its creators ever imagined. The command station's hull cracked under the continued bombardment. Explosions rippled through its structure. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, Major Soman was leading the largest ground assault of the war. Her target was the main Althri command center, a fortress built into the side of a mountain in North Korea. The facility was protected by energy shields, automated weapons, and a full regiment of alien soldiers. "Remember the plan Soman told?" Her troops over the radio, "We go in fast and hard. No mercy, no hesitation. These aliens want to enslave us. We show them what happens to slavers." The assault began with a barrage of human-made weapons firing alien energy cells. The combination was devastating. The fortress's outer defenses crumbled under the attack. Salman's forces poured through the breach like water through a broken dam. The Althari defenders fought bravely. But they were not prepared for human tactics. Soman's soldiers used smoke grenades, flashbangs, and close-quarters combat techniques that the aliens had never encountered. The fortress that was supposed to be impregnable fell within 2 hours. Aboard his flagship in orbit, Admiral Vextar felt the deck shake as explosions rocked his ship. "Status report," he demanded. "Sir, the humans are using our own weapons against us," his tactical officer reported in panic. "They've somehow reversed our quantum shield polarity. Our defenses are failing." Vextar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Human ships, ships that should not exist, were attacking his fleet with weapons that were clearly superior to his own. How can they build spaceships so quickly? "Sir, intelligence reports that they are not building new ships. They're capturing our vessels and modifying them. The modifications appear to be improvements over our original designs." The truth was, even worse than Vextar imagined. Every Althari ship that humans captured became a more powerful weapon in their hands. Human engineers saw flaws in alien technology that the aliens themselves had never noticed. Dr. Yelenara watched the battle from her laboratory ship and realized the horrible truth. She opened a communication channel to Admiral Vextar. "We need to talk. I have a report about the human project." "Make it quick, Doctor. We're under attack." "Sir, we succeeded too well. Created the perfect warriors, but they've gone beyond our programming. They're not just fighters. They're innovators, adapters, survivors. They take everything we throw at them and make it better." Vextar's blood ran cold. "Are you saying they're superior to us?" "In every way that matters for warfare? Yes. They learn faster, adapt quicker, and fight with a creativity we never programmed into them. We created our own replacement." The final blow came from an unexpected direction. The Kethmori hordes, sensing weakness in the Althori Empire, launched their largest offensive in centuries. While the Empire's best fleets were trapped fighting humans, their ancient enemies swept through the outer territories like a plague. "Sir Vextar," aide reported, "we're receiving distress calls from 17 different sectors. The Kethmori are advancing on all fronts. They're demanding immediate reinforcements." Vextar looked at the tactical display showing his forces being systematically destroyed by human innovation, and he looked at the strategic map showing Kethmori armies advancing on the Empire's core worlds. The choice was simple. Continue fighting the humans and lose everything to the Kethmori, or find another way. Commander Sung-ho was reviewing reports in his underground command center when the communication came through diplomatic channels. The message was brief and shocking. The Althari Empire requests terms for cessation of hostilities. Sung-ho read the message 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. The aliens who had tried to enslave humanity were asking for peace. The hunters had become the hunted. The Althari transport ship descended slowly through Earth's atmosphere, its hull painted with the white symbols of truce. On the ground, human. Soldiers watched with weapons ready. Their orders were clear: no hostile action unless the aliens attacked first. Admiral Star stepped out of the ship onto the landing pad at the neutral meeting site in Switzerland. His once-proud uniform was clean but worn. His golden eyes, which had once looked down on humans as primitive tools, now showed something that his species rarely displayed. Humility. Ambassador Yoonji waited for him with a small delegation of human officials. She was young for such an important role, but the war had made heroes of many unlikely people. Her calm expression showed no hatred, despite everything the Althari had done to Earth. "Admiral," she said formally, "we received your message. You wish to discuss terms." Vextar nodded slowly. "Ambassador, my empire is dying. The Kethmori advance. On all fronts, our colonies fall one by one. We cannot fight them and continue this war with you." He paused, struggling with words his proud species had never spoken before. "We offer you our technology, our remaining territories, in exchange for protection from the Kethmori." Ujai studied the alien leader for a long moment. World, billions of humans watched the broadcast of this historic meeting. Many wanted revenge for the destroyed cities and the thousands who had died. But Yoonji spoke for humanity's better nature. "You created us for war, Admiral. But we choose peace. Not submission to you, and not domination over you. Partnership." The negotiations took 3 days. The Althari offered complete surrender, but the humans refused to accept it. Instead, they proposed something the galaxy had never seen: a true alliance between equals. Within weeks, the first human expeditionary fleets launched toward the Outer Rim. But they did not come as conquerors. Captain Dalsu commanded the lead squadron, and his mission was liberation, not conquest. The first target was Kepler 442b, a former Althari colony world that had been abandoned to the Kethmori advance. The native population was a peaceful species called the Villani, who had been enslaved by the Althar for centuries. "Captain," his tactical officer reported, "we're receiving distress signals from the surface. The Kethmori are attacking the civilian population." Dalsu's jaw tightened. "Ships, battle stations. Let's show these Kethmori what human warfare really looks like." The battle was swift and decisive. The Kethmori had been expecting to fight the old, predictable Althari tactics. Instead, they faced human innovation and determination. Their ships were destroyed or driven off within hours. On the planet's surface, the surviving Villani gathered around the human soldiers with wonder and fear. Their leader, an elderly being with blue skin and large eyes, approached Colonel Sora cautiously. "Why do you help us?" he asked in broken Althari, the only common language they shared. "We are not your species. We cannot fight for you." Sora removed her helmet and smiled at the alien. "Because it's right," she said simply. "You're free now. What you do with that freedom is up to you." The scene was repeated across dozens of worlds. Human fleets arrived not to conquer, but to liberate. They offered protection and alliance, but never demanded submission. Former Althari slave worlds found themselves with something they had never known: the right to govern themselves. The galaxy watched in amazement as humanity established not an empire, but a confederation of free worlds. Each species kept its own government, its own culture, its own way of life. The humans provided protection and technology, but they did not rule. Back on Earth, the old Althari High Command Complex had been converted into something unprecedented. A joint research center where former enemies worked together. Dr. Nyong led a team of human and Althari scientists studying the mysteries of the galaxy. Look at this, she said to her Althery colleague, Dr. Yelenara. If we combine your quantum field theory with our magnetic containment systems, we might be able to create faster-than-light communication across the entire galaxy. Yelenara studied the equations with interest. Fascinating, we never thought. To approach the problem from that angle, your species has a unique way of thinking. Outside the research center, a garden had been planted where the old military parade ground used to be. General Minho, now Earth's defense coordinator, often walked there with Admiral Vexstar. The two former enemies had become unlikely friends. They watched human children playing with young Althery, who had been born after the war. The children ran and laughed together, not caring about the species differences that had once meant war. You succeeded beyond your wildest dreams, Minho said to Vexstar. You created warriors. But we chose to become something more. Vexstar nodded thoughtfully. We shaped you for war, but you have reshaped the galaxy for peace. Perhaps that was always your true purpose. In the distance, construction crews worked on the new spaceport that would launch the next wave of human exploration ships. But these vessels carried scientists, diplomats, and teachers, not soldiers. The Althery had created humanity to be the ultimate warriors. Instead, humanity had chosen to become the ultimate protectors. The galaxy was vast, and there were many species that still needed help. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning.